Your dicho or take on the USA Today article that came out recently called "What Happens When a Narcissist Becomes a Parent?" They force their kids into these roles. And the article talks about 3 roles. I'm actually going to add 4 more roles, making the list 7 roles that you need to be aware of and understand that kids may be forced into playing one or multiple. I'm Dani, and I create this content to share bite-sized life tips or little dichos that I've learned and implemented as a result of prior trauma that can help you to be the very best version of you that you can be, one step at a time. So I'm going to talk about the article posted behind me in the background today, and I'm really grateful for those of you who asked questions and sent this to me for my take on it. So the article in sum discusses the different roles that children may be forced to play when they have one or more parents who are narcissists. I'm going to go into those roles shortly and add a few of my own. I'm also really happy with this article because it talks about the impact of narcissistic abuse on children, i.e. having a narcissistic parent can absolutely impact the child's development. Science is out there. Children of narcissistic parents can be at a much increased risk for developing anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, and many other mental health problems, to include having difficulties forming healthy relationships and bonds with people. And they also are at an increased risk for engaging in self-harm or self-destructive activities. Now, I don't say any of this to frighten you. I say this to increase awareness, and I have other videos that talk about how you are enough as one good parent or support for your child. So before I go into the types of roles that they're forced into, the article also mentions something really important about why the children would be at an increased likelihood for those emotional well-being risks. And this includes because the narcissist at their essence is motivated by 2 things: control and feeding a supply to their ego. And so as a result of that, you can imagine the household dynamic. That child is caught up in trying to survive, cope with the psychological hardship of a parent who is motivated not by their best interests or meeting their needs, but by feeding their ego and controlling things. So the child will then develop can develop all kinds of attachment issues, trying to get their needs met in a situation like that. So type number 1 the article covers is the golden child. The golden child is put up on a pedestal, is seen as perfect, can do no wrong, and this can be very damaging to the child because of these unrealistic expectations that are being set. The second type the article discusses is the scapegoat. This can be very damaging for the child because this child is blamed for everything and they're never doing anything right. And in some cases, it can be so severe that not only are they suffering emotional hardship, but they are being neglected. The third type the article talks about is the lost child. So the lost child is invisible. They are often ignored, often neglected, and this can be very impactful to the child's development. Lack of trust, lack of safety, and they're often not getting their needs met. I want to add 4 more roles that I think are very common and not discussed enough when we're describing narcissistic parents. The mascot. So this is a child who is paraded around, oftentimes like a prop or a trophy. That child may be used by the narcissist literally for entertainment, and this is often a deflection technique from the narcissistic parent to keep attention off of their flaws and focus everyone on the child. The child will figure this out and will often feel used and manipulated. Another type is the hero. These children also have expectations that are very unrealistic put upon them, and it is very similar to the golden child model. You don't hear a lot about, but it's called the double. This is a role where the child is put to basically become the narcissistic parent, down to the same haircut and clothes. This can really lead to a lot of identity confusion and loss of self. That child must fit a mold and is not allowed to grow and be autonomous and independent and find their own identity. Finally, and this last role is caretaker, okay? Where the child may be responsible for taking care of the narcissistic parent's emotional needs, physical needs, listening to their problems, but even going further than that, having to make them feel better, caretaking their physical needs, particularly if a parent has certain struggles or challenges. And different tactics can be used to elicit this. It's really important to understand that that is very stressful, that is very adult and demanding for a child. Thank you so much for sharing the article and asking for my opinion. I think it's a great article. It raises awareness, but I would add the 4 other types to the 3 that they discussed in terms of roles that kids can be forced into when they have a narcissistic parent or parents. Leave me a comment below. Let me know if you have any questions or want me to deep dive some of these roles more with real world examples. And as always, know that you've got this, and I'll see you again soon. Ciao.